Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day for quite a number of Conservative MPs. It may be their last day in office. And Liz Truss is one of the candidates who, although she has a staggering majority in her South Norfolk constituency, she could still potentially lose. And who could she lose to? Well, I'm not sure she's going to be toppled by the Turnip Taliban. And unfortunately, I'm worried that the Turnip Taliban might divide the protest vote so that she actually slips back into her seat. But the level of protest votes against her is monumental. The Turnip Taliban was something that emerged shortly after she was foisted on the seat by the Conservative Central headquarters. And it was partly because they were frustrated in southwest Norfolk that she had no connection at all to the area, but also because they discovered once she arrived that she'd had an affair with another Conservative MP, Mark Field. And that detail had not been disclosed during the selection process. And they were worried that she was going to end up as an embarrassment to them. Of course, they didn't need to worry about that. She became a national embarrassment when she became Prime Minister. She was over-promoted after picking fights with Nick Clegg, but somehow she caught the eye of David Cameron, and it was an astonishing ascent without very much reason, because at no point in her parliamentary career has she demonstrated ability. And frankly, her performance as a politician is summed up by her inadequacy in front of Sergei Lavrov when she hadn't read her brief, when she hadn't bothered to do her homework, when she stumbled on basic geography and tried to maintain that Rostov-on-Don was in Ukraine rather than in Russia. Utter madness. Now, James Bagge, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I'm not sure, and apologies if I've mispronounced him, Bagge. James Bagge protested against her candidacy on the grounds that she had no local ties and that she had been imposed. And he voiced concerns about the potential embarrassment of her affair once it became public knowledge. And, of course, ironically, the bigger embarrassment was when she became Prime Minister, and the local content was slightly dwarfed by the national frustration. But as an MP, Liz Truss has faced considerable criticism for being largely absent from her constituency, not effectively addressing local issues. And her previous election success, with 69% of the vote, might not be as secure in the upcoming election due to these criticisms about her local absence. And in fact, film cameras went around Norfolk the other day to find out where she was, and they couldn't find her anywhere. The Turnip Taliban's efforts to field a strong local candidate reflect an attempt to challenge her dominance by highlighting her shortcomings as a constituency MP. And if James Bagge is indeed the Turnip Taliban candidate, his chances of winning would hinge on several factors. Local sentiment, given the historical grievances in Truss's absence, there could be significant local support for a candidate perceived as truly representing local interests. Campaign effectiveness, frankly, she is already doing that for any other party by her absence. And national politics. Liz Truss's dominance in the national consciousness, the vision of Liz Truss and her desperation to invigorate her image is staggeringly arrogant and foolhardy. She seems to think that she still has a role to play. And in fact, some wags have suggested she could be in the running for the leadership of the Conservative Party should she retain her seat. So fingers crossed that won't happen. But her previous majority was substantial, and the combination of local dissatisfaction and an effective campaign by the Turnip Taliban may not be enough to knock her out. But who knows? This is an election where the idea of a safe seat has disappeared because of the gauche inadequacy of Rishi Sunak, because of the history of stupidity from Liz Truss onwards, the monumental stupidity. But it was set in motion by Boris and by Theresa May. The frustration with a party that has been dominated by scandal and by scandal and stupidity. There's a very good alliteration there. Scandal and stupidity. And a lack of authenticity. Rishi Sunak's obsession with small boats and with learning a script that he was given by his masters, Livido and all these other individuals peppering Number 10, he's learnt very well, but it doesn't come across as authentic. And more than that, it hasn't worked. So, we hold our breath and see the extent of the disaster tomorrow, and I presume by this time tomorrow night there will be at least some hint of how bad it's gone. And it will be interesting to see Liz Truss's face and to watch out for her count when that comes. And she is one of a number of people that I'm certainly keeping my eye on, and I will be very interested to know what you think of her chances and whether or not she is likely to win her own seat.